The Supreme Court on Friday agreed to hear cases administration's rescinding of the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program. The justices will hear the cases during their next term, which starts in early October. Courts have ruled against Trump officials who sought to end the Obama program. The administration urged the court
Phase, everything looking good. Control is good. Roger, copy. 3, 2.
Hi, this is Charles Butler, host of the Reality Check with Charles Butler. What we try to accomplish on the Reality Check is to bring you information to make you an informed decision maker. That's what we do here at Red State, day in, day out. Give you information and give you a different perspective that you probably hadn't thought of before. We heard in mainstream media. Today, we're going to have one of my favorite friends and guests, Mr. Frank Venucio, who heads the New York analysis of politics and government, policy and government. And he's a talk show host, has his own talk show host and TV program. So you look for the internet, you'll see he is a busy, busy guy, and he takes speak with us every Tuesday. Frank, how you doing?
It's great to be with you, Charles.
Well, thank you. Hey, just heard that the president was right all the time in declaring that Barack Obama, and you and I have talked about this from day one when Barack did it, that it was an illegal, it was an abuse of power when he created DACA, and he created the status, this illegal status called DACA. It's amazing that these people never call Barack Obama out for all of the bad things he did to this country. Like, we're still dealing with DACA. We're still dealing with the Affordable Health Care Act. And those of you who don't know what DACA is or you don't remember, DACA stands for Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. Now, these childhood arrivals are like 40 years old now. So we're not talking about children. That's the misnomer. It's like the Affordable Care Act. Before you get 1 red cent on any of those insurance plans that Barack had, you had to pay a $6,000 deductible minimum. So, Frank, what are we doing here? What are we talking about here? Did you get a chance to look at this? The Justice Department.
I have, and there's 2 problems. There was 2 problems with the continuation of DACA after the Obama administration left off. Clearly, the president changed standing law without going through Congress. Said, I can't wait for Congress. I've got a pen and a phone, and I'm going to use them. So that was problem 1. Existing law was changed simply by the stroke of a pen of the president on an executive order. It was illegal in the first place. But let's go beyond that and why the court challenge to what President Trump is doing in ending DACA. When a president in office, his successor can, of course, change all executive. An executive order is not black letter law. It was not voted by Congress. It was not approved by Congress. It hasn't become part of the law of the land. It is simply an executive order which can be overturned the minute. So when Obama left office, those who were saying that his executive order could not be overturned, saying that President Obama never really left office.
Really?
That his executive orders still stand. This is part of a continuation of what we've seen on the left and with the Democrats pretty much since the election of November 2016. They didn't like the results of the election. They continue to argue that this is still something that's ongoing, that we still have to recognize Obama's acts, even though it's not being the law of the land. There is no legal standing for that argument. For this measure to have to go through the courts the way it did, from a legal perspective, Charles, absolutely absurd.
Yeah, it is. But you look at right now in following what you were saying, um, the the Obama administration, would Barack say, I can't wait on the court, I have to act? Well, guess what? He acted, and he acted unlawfully, and now guess what? It's over. So you had Frisco, who was the Solicitor General. He panned the decision by the appeals court, arguing that the Nielsen memo and an earlier one by then acting DHS Secretary Elaine Duke made clear that DHS decision also rests on policy grounds. And he said these cases concern the executive branch's authority to revoke a discretionary policy of non enforcement that is sanctioning an ongoing violation of federal immigration law by nearly 700,000 aliens. I mean, Barack Obama just took it upon himself to create this guy. When you talk about authoritarian, when you talk about being a king, when you're talking about being totally unhinged, it's been Barack Obama more than Donald Trump. And whenever I bring that up, you know what people say? Well, Barack Obama is not president. We're talking about Donald Trump. I say, well, we have to talk about Obama in order to talk about Trump, because Trump is still dealing with Barack Obama's socialism, autocratism, his communism. We have to deal with all the Obama isms that Trump still has to deal with and overcome.
Well, that's correct. And then, of course, there's an importance in precedence.
What's that, Frank?
Things, but it can't change existing law. If an executive president says in response to a terrible tragedy, I am giving an executive order that this area is a disaster area.
Okay.
I am sending the military to help out these people. Things of that.
Okay. Or it should have been Hillary Clinton, and more importantly, Donald Trump's. And that idiot from Georgia said, John Lewis, I won't recognize Mr. Trump. My president is Hillary Clinton. I said, well, let Hillary Clinton sign an executive order. See how far that goes. But anyway, But that's what these people want. And see and like in socialist and communist societies, the only ones with the perks are who? The politicians. In Russia, everybody is poor, but the politicians all have great homes. They have cars. They have vacation homes in the country, and the people have nothing but abject poverty. They don't even have bread in their stores. So you have this. You have these courts though, these lower courts, the district courts, federal district courts, that are activists and that fought this president every step of the way, filing injunctions and on his law and filing all kinds of hindrances to keep him. To me, Frank, that liberals in this country, those on the left, I'll put it that way because that encompasses all of them. Those on the left have no respect for the democrat process. They have no respect for the democratic process. And when I say that, what am I talking about? They don't care what we think. They don't care about the Constitution. They don't care about the laws. They don't care about the rules and policies. What they drive their agenda on is what's in it for them today. So whether they're supporting LGBT rights, whether they're supporting immigrant rights, when did this immigrant thing become so important to them? Here we have well, well, well. This is what's going to happen if illegals vote in our election. And I say this up with all seriousness. Excuse me. The attorney generals of or the state's attorney in Texas and in Florida have already sent a message. If you vote in our elections illegally, that is a crime and you will be prosecuted and we will put you in jail, i.e., we will separate you from your family. How about that, Frank? Well, they never say anything when you have all these poor people who can't pay a parking ticket or a speeding ticket or a red light ticket, and a warrant is issued for their arrest, and they're driving down the street going home from picking up their kid from school and from work, and they get pulled over, and oh, you have a warrant for your arrest. Well, we have to take you into custody, and they take you downtown. Now the kids are in the car crying, "Oh, mommy, oh, daddy," and they have the Department for Child Safety come in, pick those kids up, take them somewhere, notify the parent, the other parents or next of kin or whatever, but they hold them at a facility until a parent or a relative can come pick them up. That's what happens. That's reality. So it's well, I think the American people resent it. One, and I think that because people resent it, they see, it's amazing to our friends on the left that we really don't have any compassion for these people who are coming across the border. It's amazing to our friends on the left that we're more concerned about our citizens here in the United States than we are about taking in refugees and giving. I think that Cuccinelli did a great job this weekend. He said, "You know what? We're not going to take in poor people who can't stand on their own 2 feet." And so, what was the pushback on him? What was the brushback? Oh, we don't want poor people in America. We're not taking in poor people in America. No, stay in your own damn country and be poor. Why should we bring you here and feed you and clothe you and house you on our nickel? How crazy is that? We can't. We won't do that. As you said, we won't do it for our own Americans. Go ahead. Well, exactly, but that's not important to them. Remember, what's important to them is Jill Biden pointed out. What's important is beating Donald Trump. Did you hear Jill and what she had to say? Did you follow that at all? Jill's little comment of, of course, that was a good one, but his wife, his wife had a pretty good one too yesterday. This is Jill Biden, and let's play Jill talking about her husband. Let's go. Here we go. Who's going to win the race? That's what they're concerned about. It's like, the hell with his policies, the hell with where he stands on the issues. Can he beat Donald Trump? That was her 2-minute message. Well, that's because they think that they're not going to be touched by it. And so when I make my appeal to the terrorists, I say make sure you go to Washington first. Stop stop by Capitol Hill first, because these people are derelict in their duty, and they don't take their duties very seriously. Just like the assault on guns, the knee jerk reactions to, well, we need more background checks. What in the hell are you going to check? We have background checks for everything. What in the hell are you? So now I need a background check to pass a gun to my son or to my daughter. What kind of craziness is this? It's just more money to the government, because somebody has to pay for that background check. It's not free. Well, they have to, because stabbings, as you pointed out, have gone up in Great Britain, but because that's what they have access to. Now, here in Chicago, we only rank 15th in killings. You hear about all the killings going on, but we only rank 15th, and our gun laws aren't as onerous as they used to be. After we got concealed carry in 2011, that all eased up, and we have some pretty decent concealed carry laws, and that if you apply for a concealed carry license, it shall be issued. It's not a question of whether or not the sheriff gets to decide whether or not you get one. The law reads you shall be issued a CCL. So we have some pretty good law. Yeah, well, New York is I call it a city of sissies. I remember when I was there in the 70s, people said, well, if somebody asks for your wallet, man, just give it to them. They need it more than you do. And I'm thinking to myself, man, I'm from Detroit. I'm not giving anybody anything. But anyway, these liberals, again, liberal policies, and these are the same people that talk about conflict resolution, and we don't want any fighting. I mean you have to stop and ask yourself, if these people were in control of the world. See, I'll tell you a great example of people like that being in control. The Clinton administration, if it weren't for Warren Christopher, this country would have been in bad shape, man. Bad shape. And then when Warren left, he turned it over to what's her name, Albright. And you see where, yeah, you see where we went with that. She got, I mean, these guys didn't want to deal with a woman. They didn't want to deal with the chick. So, well, so they returned Ilion, and Ilion's dad was very clear. He said, I don't have to worry about my wife being mugged or raped here in Havana. We have very little crime. So he said, in Miami, my boy is living in fear because the neighborhood's so bad. He was absolutely right. Remember, the aunt was turning fits about, send money to help me keep Ilion. Send money to me. She was hustling, boy. Well, I do too, Frank. Thank you. Thank you so much for being with us, man. It's always a pleasure. All right. Okay, folks. Okay. We're gonna what we're gonna do is take a little break, and we'll be right back. So we're gonna come back. We're gonna talk about the CEOs and what they're talking about in terms of putting you and me ahead of profit. That should be interesting. Okay, welcome back. Welcome back to The Reality Check with Charles Butler. We are broadcasting here at Red State Talk Radio, having a lot of fun, and want to talk to you today about the top CEOs. Yesterday at the Business Roundtable, the CEOs of U.S. companies changed their purpose, their mission statement. And they said no longer should decisions be made based solely on whether they will yield higher profits for shareholders. The group said rather, corporate leaders should take into account all stakeholders, that is, employees, customers, and society writ large. That's the society at large. So I'm just quoting from this article, Wall Street Journal. It said it's a major philosophical shift for the association, which counts uh, the chief executive officers of dozens of the biggest U.S. companies and its members. The group is led by J.P. Morgan Chase CEO James Dimon. He's a powerful voice in Washington for business, and he said it represents a broad swath of the U.S. industry, counting among its members leaders in technology giants and manufacturing companies, airlines, institutional investors, just to name a few. Yeah, everybody's there. The big boys, they play and they play well. They play hard. Now, the Business Roundtable, its old mission statement was espoused by economist Milton Friedman. And I told you, Milton and I used to have lunch once a year for a long time. He's a great guy. Decades old theory. Milton Friedman had a decades old theory that a company's only obligation is to maximize value for shareholders. And this is a quote from Milton. Each of our stakeholders is essential. Uh, so the new statement says this: each of our stakeholders is essential. We commit to deliver value to all of them for the future success of our companies, our communities, and our country. I like that. See, that's the way Hewlett Packard was. We delivered for the company, for our communities, and we certainly delivered for the country. Just like Walt Disney. Walt Disney used to have the same ideas. They go the company's position on the question of whether corporate purpose can influence issues as diverse as worker pay, environmental impact, plays a central role in discussions about stock buybacks, corporate spending, and how companies operate within our communities. Amazing. But see, that's where we were with HP when I worked for them years and years ago. The person who trashed that was Carly Fiorina. And that's why Carly Fiorina, as I often say, will never, ever win a race that she's in because people realized that when she was CEO of HP, she destroyed that company. And she certainly played into sending American jobs overseas to China. She was big on that, boy. She made a lot of money, big bonuses. So the new uh, Business Roundtable said it's going to respond to activist investors and agitating for moves meant to boost returns. Wow, interesting. I love it. The new statement of purpose was endorsed by 181 of the Business Roundtable 188 CEO members. So only 7 didn't vote for it. Those 7 may have been out with their girlfriends or their mistresses. Just saying. I don't know. I'm just teasing. I'm just saying, just talking. Um, and this included leaders of 2 of the world's biggest investors, BlackRock, and that would be Robert Schwartz, and Vanguard Group. So the Council of Institutional Investors, however, said the statement gives CEOs cover to dodge shareholder oversight. Ooh, I love it. I love it. Steven Schwartzman at Blackstone. I love it. I love it. So they said 7 CEOs declined to endorse the statement, and that included Larry Culp, GE, Steven Schwartzman, Blackstone, the private equity giant that had concerns about its own investor clients. Um, they go on to say that Mr. Diamond, for example, has challenged the shareholder profit focus as too narrow and an impediment to the executive's ability to focus on long-term goals because were managing to the short term, which is ruining these companies. They were managing every 3 months, quarterly earnings, quarterly profits. You have to be out there 3 years, man. 3 years. This country will run a lot better if these people focus on the 3 year plan like we used to do before the 80s when we had all these MBAs enter the market. So in 1970, Milton Friedman's article, The Social Responsibility of Business is to Increase Its Profit, that set the standard that has long been followed. The businessmen believe that they are defending free enterprise when they disclaim that business is not concerned merely with profit, but also with promoting desirable social ends that has a business social conscience and takes seriously its responsibilities for providing employment, eliminating discrimination, avoiding pollution, and whatever else may be in the catchwords of the contemporary crop of reformers. That's what Milton Friedman wrote, not Charles Butler. Friedman went on to say, in fact, they are or would be if they or anyone else took them seriously, preaching pure and unadulterated socialism. Oh man, so we'll see where that comes and where that goes. It is interesting, I tell you that. There's no question about that. I saw what was his name? Come on, Charles. The Secretary of Commerce, uh, Wilbur Ross, on Monday, and he told everybody that he's going to delay the bans against Yahweh's equipment for a while. That was a breather for a lot of people because they had really gotten caught up into Yahweh. Yeah, they had. Yahweh was killing them, man. They were buying into this Yahweh equipment and just giving away the store. And the Chinese laughing all the way. The inscrutable Chinese, I tell you, the inscrutable Oriental. Now, I want to talk about this because this hasn't been talked about. But Barack Obama, when he and Eric Holder and then Secretary of HUD, I can't remember who it was. In fact, when I'm reading this article about the Obama administration, they don't mention who the Secretary of HUD was at that time. But I can't remember because I remember when Alfonso Jackson left, that was Bush. I can't remember who took his place. But anyway, um, HUD is moving to roll back an Obama era policy aimed at rooting out racial bias in housing. The latest move by the Trump administration is to weaken a legal tool combating unintentional discrimination. So, see, what Obama wanted to do was to take poor ass people, poor ass blacks and browns, and put them in with decent people. And I'm not saying that poor people aren't decent. I'm saying that the poor people today bring a different culture with them, bring a different set of expectations with them, bring a different life with them. They don't want to get married, so you have all these men running in and out of homes. They have all these babies out of wedlock. They don't want an education. So, these aren't the people who we used to help up by a bootstrap. These are people who are just worthless, no good, ignorant ass people. And Barack Obama wanted to make them your neighbor. He wanted to be his neighbor, but he wanted to be your neighbor. So, under under a new plan published Monday, the Federal Register, HUD would raise the burden of proof they must meet to bring a claim, making it harder for civil rights groups and others to pursue housing discrimination cases. At issue is a long-standing legal precedent that allows plaintiffs to pursue claims based on statistical evidence that a lender or developer's policies have had a disparate impact on minorities rather than proof of explicit bias. The Obama administration in 2013 set out guidelines for bringing such cases against mortgage lenders, developers, and home insurers, alleging that their policies disadvantage minorities. Wow, that's heavy. And the question became, how do we prove that? I mean, how do you go about pulling these stats together? So under the guidelines, the defendants would have to show that they had a reasonable business objective for their policies. Okay. So the defendant, meaning the developer or the owner of the property, apartment building, would have to show that there was some reasonable business objective that for these policies that kept poor people out. Now, under the new plan, HUD would require plaintiffs to uh, clear a 5-part test to bring a fair housing case, including evidence that the allegedly discriminatory practice is arbitrary, artificial, and unnecessary. HUD said that the modification would create clear legal standards in line with the 2015 Supreme Court decision that upheld the concept of disparate impact in fair housing cases, but also said plaintiffs should draw a causal relationship between their statistical analysis and specific lending or hiring policies they seek to challenge. Wow, that's deep. So consumer advocates worry that the changes will make it harder to bring cases in courts, but have consistently added up the disparate impact doctrine, uh, but tend to give deference to government's interpretation of the laws that it enforces. Amazing. Amazing. I love it. So we'll see. I mean, but Barack's policies, man, this guy was given vouchers and this was on television. I saw people had a $6,000 voucher. That's $6,000 a month voucher for rent, so that they could live in a decent neighborhood. $6,000, man. How do you get that? I mean, that's what I want to know. I want somebody to give me. I want to live in a $6,000 a month place. Section 8 people. I mean, really? I mean, you're talking about socialism. This guy put it in practice. The closest thing we came to be for this country blowing up is under Barack insane Obama. And Trump knew what he was doing in running because he's just turning all this stuff around. He doesn't have any qualms about it. And people don't have a qualm with him doing it. That's the other thing. The NYPD officer who choked out Mr. Gardner. Wow. We talked about that yesterday. Dan Pentello. Dan Pentello's been on desk duty the last 5 years without a badge, without a gun. He's coming into the office. But yesterday, Commissioner Jimmy O'Neill, and I played some of the clips for you, but Jimmy said, today in our city, we ended a chapter that has brought our people so much pain, so much fear over the last 5 years. No, I'm sorry, that's de Blasio said that. But the police chief or commissioner also said something similar. They talked about when Commissioner O'Neill took the podium. He's very somber. He was very, contrite. And you look at this guy, Daniel Pentello, and you have to ask yourself, why didn't you just, ease up on the chokehold, man? Why didn't you just ease up on the chokehold just a little bit? He didn't. Kept it in place. He wanted to cause pain. He enjoyed inflicting pain on an innocent man. I know that feeling. But the people I inflicted pain on weren't innocent. And we were, competing. So Commissioner O'Neill says, in this case, the unintended consequence of Mr. Gardner's death must have a consequence of its own. It is clear that Daniel Pentello can no longer effectively serve as a New York City police officer. God, that had to have crushed him, man. He was right in, I'm sure he's right in the front row. You cannot be a police officer in the state of Illinois. Wow. Amazing. So I'm looking at this story. And as I, look at the story and read the story, and you heard the clips yesterday. And I may look up and play one of these clips for you today. But this has to stop. People getting killed over a traffic stop, people being shot and and choked out when you have mass murderers who walk out standing up. Here's the police chief. There are no victors. There are no victors. In fact, I was as I was preparing for the show, there was New York Post. New York Post had a headline. I think it was called "Betrayal." That's what I saw. I really didn't read it because I don't really read the Post, but I'm pretty sure they had posted "Betrayal" as a headline. And whoa, two Mets. Oh, this is what I just heard. Two Mets busted as part of a drug trafficking network. Ooh. Wow. Anyway. Whoa. Whoa. This is something. I'm looking for the headline article here. And let's see here. Rashid. Oh, God. Rashid. Anyway, the young man, Mr. Pentello, is gone as a police officer in the city of New York. Hopefully, he lands somewhere else. But you hear the headline was "Furious Cop Union Calls for an Ouster of O'Neill over the firing of the officer." They said cops blast de Blasio as attacks on officers increase, and they should blast what's his name, de Blasio. Those cops don't need to have water thrown in them and stuff. It's crazy, totally crazy. I think so. You can't. You can't make this stuff up, people. You can't make this stuff up. So look, let's go to where we're gonna go. Okay, here we're gonna go. I got this little clip, and it's Talib on the occupied land. And yeah, listen to this, man. This is too much. Listen to her talk about this. Let's play it. Okay. Okay, we shed the tears. Oh, he dehumanized you. Hey, those checkpoints keep people alive. These people were blowing people up, especially women suicide bombers. Okay, so Talib, don't try to act like these are innocent people who are being accosted, and we're just searching them for no reason at all. They were blowing people up, and don't you forget it. She's a liar. She's such a liar. She's despicable and disgusting, if you ask me. Okay, here we go. More lying, more grandstanding. Those walls have kept illegals out. That's the problem. They've kept illegals out of Israel, so you haven't had any terrorist attacks because those walls keep out the bad guys. Talib doesn't want to do that. Oh, walls are bad psychologically. Shut up. Shut up. I mean, really? like we're supposed to have some heart for these killers because these people do blow folks up, and they blow folks up and they have no regret. Go back to Talib. The president asked them not to, let them in, but they told Talib, go visit your grandmother, and she said, no, I'm not going to go visit her. I throw it on throw her under the bus. That's what she did. Threw her granny under the bus. I'm just saying. At the end of the day, man, uh, you just have to look at this and you look at it with a grain of salt because these people are playing games. Talib and Omar, dangerous people. Hey, look, we'll be back tomorrow and we'll have some great guests, great topics. Hope you tune in. Thanks. yeah, so that's where we are. And we'll come up here and we'll end the show. Let's see here. Need to end the show. There we go. Come on. Where do I end the show? Oh, man. I got to put something in here. Let's see. Hello. Hello. Is it me you're looking for? No, let's see. Let's see. How do we end this? Okay. Come on. Let's see here. Da 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 da. Jerry. Hey, Jerry, what's going on?
I was listening to your show about talking about Khalid at the end there, how ridiculous she is.
Yes. What did you
I
think?
like it. Huh?
What you think?
I would like you to talk about that with Kevin Kenny right now if you have time.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. I'm trying to get off my my Facebook. Here we go. There we go. Yeah. Okay, I'm ready.